Hello and welcome to the Southeast Idaho Weather Hazard Briefing for Monday, December 10th. We'll start out with a surface weather depiction. You can see this wide area over southern Idaho is snow. We are expecting it to develop during the mid-afternoon hours in the central Idaho mountains and then sweep southward and eastward. And by the evening, it should be all the way to the Wyoming and Utah borders by then. So let's see how this snowstorm evolves. Here's this morning. You can see very little of it penetrating into our area, and it's all less than half an inch. Just barely getting into places like Stanley and the extreme western edge of our forecast area. Here you can see by the afternoon hours it is starting to spread throughout the central Idaho mountains, but still nothing in the Snake River Plain or any of the southern or eastern highlands. And finally here in the evening hours it's spreading some light snow. You can see some places actually still not getting any. For instance, Pocatello is still at a 0, and really nothing develops there until after basically the late night hours, and that's when it will hit the southern highlands the hardest. You can see there quite a bit of it at half an inch or so, and then on the northern end it's getting close, 1 to 2 inch time or snowfall accumulation. So this is a total snowfall. You can see it's hitting again the upper Snake Highlands probably the hardest, and the mountains in that area, and also then second would be the central Idaho mountains, and the further south you go you see some places like Burley and Malta aren't expecting anything. And winds, there's just some in the afternoon, and they're out of the east as the front approaches. You can see if anything were to fall early, it would be blown around mostly in the eastern Magic Valley and some of the extreme higher elevations in the central Idaho mountains, but that's actually pretty high and certainly off the roads. Here's the highs for today. You can see mostly right around the freezing mark, and a few places in the sunshine in the southeast will get a little bit warmer, but not by much. And then overnight lows with a cloud cover, it's staying mild in the southeast and eastern parts of our forecast area, but where it does clear out later tonight, you can see it is getting fairly cold, a lot of below 0. Okay, so the snow continues. Right on top of this snowstorm, there is a second one that's coming in. You can see some heavy snow possible in the Panhandle and even some places in our area, but it's mostly the heavy snow is affecting western Idaho. Again, let's look at how the snow evolves. Here is Tuesday morning with the other storm just wrapping up. Again, an additional half an inch or so or less in the highlands to the east. And then in the afternoon, not much going on. And then here in the afternoon, or evening hours, I should say, it starts to ramp up. You can see 1 to 2 inches in some of the higher elevations along our border with, right along the Custer County border on the west side, and some light snow elsewhere. And then really after 11 p.m. is where it really picks up. You can see here Haley 1.5 inches, there about 1.6 there, Ketchum 2.4. Even places like Chalice getting above 2 inches, Stanley 3.5, and it's also starting to already accumulate in the Island Park area, and of course in the Tetons where you get some of your heavier amounts, and even the mountains to the south, Pocatello, getting in excess of an inch. The other thing to watch out for will be winds on Wednesday, but you can see here during the evening hours when the snow starts, the winds are still fairly light with the exception of some extreme high elevations in the central Idaho mountains. And the highs for Tuesday, colder with all that cloud cover. Very few places getting above freezing even briefly. But the overnight lows with all the cloud cover, very mild with the exception of, the usual places like Copper Basin and Stanley Basin, where it gets below 10 degrees. And so here's Wednesday. You can see that low kind of stalls over us, and we continue to get snow, and this time the heavy snow, the focus now is on the Idaho-Wyoming border. So let's look at that. You can see the again, the heavier snow now on the east side of our forecast area, but still getting some pretty good, healthy amounts of snow in the Central Idaho Mountains. And then there's even some expected in the Snake River Plain and eastern Magic Valley. You see here, though, by midday on Wednesday, it's starting to let up. And by the evening hours, even less, bordering flurries. And for the late night, it pretty much wraps up, especially where there are road systems. And here are the winds, and this is something to look out for. Watch the winds in the Snake River Plain, eastern Magic Valley, and places to the south. But you can see even in the morning hours, along with the snowfall at some of its heaviest, there's still a lot of windy conditions in the Central Idaho Mountains, so I would expect lots of blowing and drifting snow with this. Although the temperatures are fairly mild, as you'll see, and it could be a wet snow, which might help things. But here you can see some very strong winds in the south central highlands, and even the Snake River Plain getting up in excess of 20 miles an hour. And then by the evening hours, it should let off considerably, again, at the same time the snow does. So here's a storm total for this second storm. You can see it's much heavier, 1 to 2 inches in the Snake River Plain, up to 3 inches in the northern end of it. And then 6 to 8 inches in the usual areas, Galena Summit, even Ketchum, 4 to 6, Stanley Basin. The same thing going into Wyoming, 6 to 8 inches, fairly solid during this time. And then the highs, you can see it does get a little bit above freezing in the eastern Magic Valley, so that may help, with the blowing snow, but it may not help much. And you can see lots of areas there still staying below freezing, and so lots of places where you could get some blowing snow. And the overnight lows, as it clears and the snow winds down, getting very cold once again in almost all locations. This is the extended forecast. We have another chance for some snow basically Friday night and again on Sunday here. You can pause it, though, if you want to read the further details in this. That's all I have. If you have any further questions, you can contact us at this telephone number. If any comments or feedback on the content of the briefing, you can email our webmaster at this email address, or check out the weather yourself at weather.gov/Pocatello. Thanks for watching.